Who's the best player in the country?
To the media or me?
As you see it.
Man, what the hell is Reebok doing? Y'all tripping. You got one of the most marketable WNBA athletes, not even WNBA, athletes in general.
But it's actually Indiana that has 7 points off of the turnovers that Atlanta has created until we saw Angel Reese, shout out to our teammate, Angel Reese in particular, her energy shifted. I thought when she got some of those easy baskets to go in the paint that quite frankly she had struggled with to open the ball game, that's when you saw this defense begin to pick up its energy, this dream squad to begin to play with a little bit more confidence.
Yeah, athletes know it's not how you start, it's how you finish, and that energy is contagious because if you look at Angel Reese, she already has 7 and 9. She's already getting close to a double-double. But then also, if you think about, on the other side here, you're seeing the Indiana Fever, they're just being a little bit methodical.
Welcome back to the Clark Update today. We've got a shocking WNBA story that you definitely don't want to miss. Angel Reese is facing major questions about her future, her performance, and the massive expectations surrounding her growing brand. Rumors and speculation about her Reebok deal have been circulating, while Caitlin Clark continues to sit at the center of the biggest conversation in women's basketball. So what is really happening behind the scenes? Why are Angel Reese's recent performances creating so much debate? Why is Caitlin Clark constantly part of the conversation? And could the growing pressure surrounding both players change the future of one of the most talked about rivalries in sports? Let's break it all down, because this story is getting wild. What if one of the most difficult parts of Angel Reese's career right now is not the attention, the criticism, or even the rivalry with Caitlin Clark? What if it is the enormous expectation that comes with becoming one of the biggest brands in women's basketball? Angel Reese's popularity, endorsement deals, and massive social media presence have made her one of the most recognizable athletes in the WNBA. But following a series of performances that have raised questions about her offensive development, more people are beginning to wonder whether the basketball side of her career is keeping pace with the size of her growing brand. Is Reebok simply investing in one of the biggest personalities in women's basketball? Or is the company expecting Reese to develop into the complete superstar that many people believed she could become? Those questions are becoming harder to ignore, especially after what happened against Indiana. But before we get into the details, if you enjoy this kind of WNBA content, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel.
It's an embarrassment. What an absolute embarrassment. ESPN's coverage of this toxic turd of a league, it is more embarrassing than this never-ending burn on my lip that just refuses to go away. Allow Uncle KC to give you some valuable advice. Don't ever get so excited to eat your mother's cooking that the food burns your lip, especially if you're on camera every day, because this damn thing is taking forever.
A huge percentage of viewers watching these videos still haven't subscribed. It's completely free, it only takes a second, and it helps the channel continue bringing you more stories and updates from around the world of basketball. Now, let's get back to the story. Reebok did.
You guys hear that Angel Reese, that WNBA basketball player that does nothing but drama? Reebok has pulled their endorsements and sponsorships.
Yeah, I am still laughing about what went down last night in that game against the Fever and the Dream Dog. Caitlin Clark laughing at Angel Reese about that last miss. Man, it was just so much going on in that game that had me laughing my butt off. It was ridiculous. But this right here is the cherry on top. All right, during the halftime, I usually speak over these women, and I was seeing my chat just going in. They were like, man, they glazing Angel off of this terrible performance. And I was like, hold on, man, I got to go back and listen. And when I listened to it, man, I done gained 8 abs, dog. I done broke my side laughing so hard. This is crazy work. It's almost like they can't say anything.
Not simply put Angel Reese's name on an ordinary pair of basketball shoes and move on. The company made a significant investment in her future. Reese became one of the few WNBA players associated with a signature basketball sneaker.
Angel Reese even said she was playing like trash. Check this out.
Well, Angel, your team on a 17-4 run right now. You started that with a 7-0 run. How did you kind of get things going for your team?
Yeah, I mean, I was playing like shit in the beginning, but it's a game of runs. You got to put that in your back pocket.
Well, Angel.
Yeah, you continued to play like shit throughout the game. Pardon the language. You cursed, so I did. You continued to play like complete garbage. And now here we have ESPN double-double duel in Atlanta. And the truth is, neither one of these bigs played well. Aaliyah Boston was missing layups terribly too, as she's been doing for the last.
Through her multi-year partnership with Reebok. That kind of opportunity places an athlete on a completely different level. Once a major sports company begins building a product and marketing campaign around your name, the expectations change. Fans begin watching more closely. Critics become louder. And every performance suddenly receives far more attention. People begin asking a simple question: does the player on the court justify the level?
We stop with the comparisons with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. Can you let it die now? Caitlin Clark is embarrassing this girl. And I halfway feel sorry for Angel Reese. Not what you think, though. It's not because they're viciously attacking her online. It's not that. I don't feel bad about that because they do it to Clark all the time. She deserves it. She wanted this. Angel Reese wanted it. They're not just watching for one person. They're watching for me, too. Remember that? She's been trying to prove that she's been better than Caitlin Clark this entire time.
Level of investment being made in the brand? That question became even louder following the events of August 16, 2026. The basketball conversation took another dramatic turn when the Indiana Fever faced the Atlanta Dream. The matchup had everything a television producer could want. There was playoff positioning on the line. Caitlin Clark was back in the spotlight. Angel Reese was part of the larger WNBA conversation. And the history between Clark and Reese, which began during their unforgettable college basketball battles, remained one of the biggest storylines surrounding women's basketball. The stage was set. But unfortunately for Reese, the biggest discussion after the game focused heavily on what happened on the basketball court. Reese struggled early. She got off to a particularly slow start and entered halftime with 7 points on 3 of 10 shooting while grabbing 9 rebounds. During the halftime discussion, Reese openly admitted that she had not played.
Spent the entire day yesterday trying to convince us that Angel Reese is a professional basketball player. They tried to convince us that Angel Reese is the most dominant player in the league. Problem is, we have eyes, and no one, and I mean no one, believes that. You know, I almost feel bad for Angel Reese. Keyword, almost. I would feel bad for her if she refused to believe the lie that she is
well. And at that moment, it was difficult to argue with her assessment. She was contributing on the boards, but offensively, the efficiency simply was not where it needed to be. As the game continued, the pressure increased. Eventually, Indiana pulled out a 95-91 overtime victory. Reese still finished the game with a respectable statistical line, recording 15 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists. So this was not a complete disaster. She was still involved. She was still creating opportunities. She was still fighting on the glass. And she was still making contributions beyond scoring. But basketball is often remembered through moments. And when the game reaches its biggest point, one missed opportunity can become the image that people remember. The final chance became exactly that. It was the kind of opportunity that looked simple from the outside. An uncontested or highly makeable opportunity near the basket. A moment where fans expect a professional player to finish the play. Nobody is asking for a complicated explanation. Nobody wants a long discussion about offensive schemes, spacing, or advanced statistics. Sometimes, the expectation is incredibly simple.
ESPN, y'all have to do better. Y'all have to do better. Y'all have to get some actual honest media at some point. ESPN has embarrassed themselves. You have Monica McNutt and company, you know the crew, Andrea Carter, Chinny Ogumake. They were on ESPN on the telecast, on the broadcast, lying about Angel Reese's performance. You got ESPN pretending like Angel Reese played well. Andrea Carter lying, saying Angel Reese wasn't missing her layups. They were getting blocked, or it was the defense.
Put the ball in the basket. And that is why the moment received so much attention. Angel Reese has built much of her basketball reputation around physicality, rebounding, toughness, and her ability to control the paint. Those are legitimate strengths. Her ability to attack the glass is one of the best parts of her game. She uses her size and physical presence to make life difficult for defenders. She fights for offensive rebounds. She creates second-chance opportunities. And she can completely change the momentum of a possession through effort alone. The statistics support that. Reese has consistently been one of the league's strongest rebounders. Earlier in the season, she delivered games featuring dominant rebounding numbers, including performances with double-digit offensive rebounds. Those numbers matter. They are valuable. And nobody should pretend that rebounding is somehow unimportant. It can completely change a basketball game. Extra possessions create extra opportunities. Offensive rebounds can break the confidence of an opposing defense. Physical players can wear opponents down over the course of 4 quarters. But there is another side to the discussion. The game
has over Clark is rebound, and I'm halfway looking at them because half of them come from you missing, and the other half comes from you shoving people out the way under the rim, like you did Clark last night, like you did Natasha Howard last season when you wanted to fight, like you do everybody else. You're slapping them in the face. She plays dirty under the rim, and she crosses her finger and squeezes her butt cheeks that the referees will not call it. That's what's going on with her. We got to stop. You got great players. You got good players. There's a difference. Y'all are trying to push Angel Reese in the great player category when anybody who can see she's nowhere near Caitlin Clark's level. No.
Becomes more difficult when professional defenses understand exactly where a player is most dangerous. If defenders know you are at your best around the basket, they can crowd the paint. If they know you are not yet a consistent perimeter shooter, teams study everything. They study tendencies. They study weaknesses. They study preferred moves. And they design defensive strategies to force players into situations where they are less comfortable. That means physicality alone is not always enough. Eventually, players need to expand their game. They need counters. They need new ways to score. They need to become less predictable. And that is where many of the current questions surrounding Angel Reese begin. The biggest debate is not whether Reese is talented. She clearly is. The biggest debate is whether her offensive development is progressing quickly enough to match the enormous level of attention surrounding her. Naturally, the internet responded in the most predictable way possible, with absolutely no balance. Some critics
to great plays, you see Caitlin orchestrating. It's like both sides are leaning into their strengths on this one.
Let's go back to Angel really quickly, though, because she was part of the catalyst that you saw to be able to change things around. And she said to Holly, I just feel like I needed to take a deep breath and maybe stop overthinking some of these.
Oh, I've been there. I've been there. Like sometimes the basket is too open. Right. She's used to getting double teamed. She's used to triple teams, and she's used to contact. And so sometimes when you see her, like, wait, what's coming? You want to look over your shoulder. But she settled into the game well. And what I like is she's been such a great mentor. Also to
critics treated missed layups as if they were evidence that Reese did not belong in professional basketball. Others turned every difficult finish into a major debate about her entire career. One missed shot suddenly became a judgment on everything she had ever accomplished. And that is where it becomes important to separate internet drama from legitimate basketball criticism. Angel Reese missing a few shots is not the real issue. Every basketball player misses shots. Even the greatest players in the world have terrible shooting nights. The more important question is whether Reese can continue developing into a more complete offensive player as her career progresses. Because the expectations around her are enormous. She is not simply being viewed as another young player trying to find her place in the league. She is already one of the most recognizable faces in women's basketball. She has endorsement deals. She has a huge online following. She has major media attention.
There is a picture floating around online because we all remember the final seconds of this basketball game. Yes, when Angel Reese could have won the game, had all the bragging rights over Caitlin Clark, at least for this one here. Well, Angel Reese missed the damn layup. Now, for all of the Angel Reese fans, I just want y'all to calm down because this is nothing new. She's been missing
And she is connected to one of the most famous rivalries in modern basketball through her history with Caitlin Clark. That means the microscope is always on. And the larger the brand becomes, the higher the expectations become as well. This brings us back to Reebok. The discussion surrounding Reebok is more complicated than simply looking at one bad performance and declaring that anything has changed with her contract. A single game does not define a player. And it certainly should not automatically be used as proof of dramatic claims about a business partnership. But it does highlight why Reese faces such enormous pressure. Reebok is building a basketball identity around her. A signature shoe represents belief. It represents investment. It represents the idea that the athlete can become a major part of the company's future. That puts Reese in a different category. Now, every time she struggles offensively, critics will connect those struggles to the size of her endorsement deals. Every time she has a great game, supporters will point to it as proof that the investment was correct. That is simply what happens when sports and business collide. The player is no longer judged only as a basketball player. She is also judged as a brand. And this is where Caitlin Clark enters the larger conversation. Clark has become one of the biggest names in the history of women's basketball. Her popularity has brought enormous attention to the WNBA. Television ratings, ticket demand, merchandise, and mainstream interest have all been part of the broader conversations.
Playing basketball, or should I say, attempting to play basketball. Multiple wide open. She was so wide open, you couldn't see anybody else on the screen with her, and she still missed a layup. A chance to win the game at the buzzer, wide open, fundamental, layup, kiss it off the backboard. Can't do that either. Getting blocked left and right, Michaela Timpson, Monique Bill
surrounding her rise. As a result, nearly every major story involving another young WNBA star eventually finds its way back to Caitlin Clark. Angel Reese is no exception. Their rivalry has created a powerful storyline that fans, media outlets, and brands understand very well. Whenever one player succeeds, people compare her to the other. Whenever one player struggles, comparisons begin immediately. And sometimes those comparisons become unfair. Clark and Reese are completely different players. They play different positions. They have different strengths. They impact the game in different ways. But because their college rivalry became such a massive cultural moment, the basketball world continues to connect their careers. That connection can be valuable. It brings attention. It creates excitement. It gives fans a reason to watch. But it can also create enormous pressure. Every performance becomes part of a comparison. Every missed shot is analyzed. Every great game becomes an argument. And every endorsement deal is turned into a competition.
For all the people that was talking all the trash about Caitlin Clark missing those free throws that one game, yeah, we remember that. We remember that. And guess what? Angel Reese couldn't even make a damn layup to win the game. And I'm telling you right now, this is hella funny. Oh my God, this is super funny. This is more funnier than the video of the guy pretending to be Angel Reese. I mean, she literally hit the floor, put her hands over her head. Sorry, guys. Hit the floor, put her hands over her head like, oh my God, I messed up. Yeah, you messed up real bad, Angel. Real bad. But let's pull up the meme right now and let me show you how it is.
Meanwhile, another part of the conversation has focused on media coverage. Some critics have accused television commentators and sports personalities of being too positive when discussing Reese's weaknesses. That criticism became louder after games in which Reese struggled offensively but continued to receive praise for her energy, rebounding, and overall presence. Now, to be fair, those strengths deserve recognition. If a player grabs 9 rebounds in one half, creates additional possessions, battles for offensive boards, and brings defensive energy, commentators have every right to discuss those contributions. Rebounding is valuable. Effort is valuable. Physical defense is valuable. But critics argue that the conversation should not completely avoid the obvious weaknesses appearing on the court. If a player is struggling offensively, that should also be discussed honestly. The standard should not be lower simply because a player is popular. And the standard should not be impossibly high simply because a player has a large social media.
And say, yeah. But let's get back to Angel Reese. She almost didn't even want her to say anything good about Caitlin Clark. I don't understand it. Hey, you only can say that about players who are too open shooting the three. Not right at the rim, dog. Come on, man. We don't say that for players right at the rim. Only when you're shooting threes, man. Sometimes you are too open when you shoot a three. But not when you're right at the rim. That's
the following. The goal should be balance. Angel Reese can be an elite rebounder. She can be physically dominant. She can be a major star. She can be highly marketable. And she can still have important areas of her game that need improvement. All of those things can be true at the same time. Her rebounding ability is genuinely valuable. Her ability to create extra possessions can change games. Her physical presence gives her team important advantages. But she can also continue improving her shooting, finishing, touch around the basket, and offensive decision-making. That is not an insult. That is simply part of being a young professional player. The real question is how much growth we will see. And that question becomes even more important when you consider the size of the marketing machine surrounding her. Fans naturally begin asking whether the basketball performance matches the scale of the promotional effort. That is what makes Angel Reese's current situation so interesting. Reebok is not just selling a product with her name attached to it. The company is investing in a story, a future, a basketball identity. And Reese now faces the challenge of continuing to prove that the player behind the brand can evolve. She has already shown that she can dominate the glass. That has never been the main concern. Her rebounding numbers speak for themselves. The more important question is whether she can expand offensively to the point where opposing defenses cannot simply focus on taking away her preferred routes to the basket. Can she become a more reliable finisher? Can she improve her shooting range? Can she develop more offensive counters? Can she make defenders pay when they overcommit? Those are the questions that will define the next stage of her career. And as of right now, the story is still being written. That is why it would be unfair to define Angel Reese based on one missed opportunity or one difficult game. Young players develop. Some players improve dramatically over just a few seasons. Others take longer. And some discover entirely new aspects of their game after spending years in the league. The game on August 16th showed both sides of the Angel Reese conversation. On one hand, she struggled offensively and missed opportunities that she will undoubtedly want back. On the other hand, she still rebounded, created possessions, and found ways to contribute. That is why reducing the entire performance to one missed shot would be too simplistic.